What are you saying, my fellow Saiyans? This is Gohan Solo coming at it with that first YouTube video on this channel. As you can see, I've got that upload ready for as soon as this is done. Um, you know, this game is fun. This game is cool. Unfortunately, being in the UK, it's a bit difficult to get that product, get that get those games going, but uh, still might as well participate in the discussion. So this is going to be the first of a few videos where I'll just be talking about the new set. Um, Obviously, it's quite a big set. There's a lot of new stuff coming out, so make for a lot of fun times, a lot of fun videos. So this one, I thought I'd break any type of review that I do into bits. I guess it would be more in my nature to just go through every card and discuss my thoughts. But with this set, there are so many cards that they'll take forever. So gonna split it into something a bit more fun. I guess we'll do like top fives, top tens, stuff like that. Because I think that's a bit more efficient. It saves me going over cards that we don't really need to go over, and then later on, if I want to discuss everything, then I can discuss everything. But to that end, we're gonna start with top 5 leaders from the new set. So not top 5 leaders that have improved or anything like that. Just out of the 10 leaders that they've released in this set, which ones would be in my top 5. So I'm not including the starter deck ones as well. So um, that can be a discussion point in the comments, I guess. If you were to include the Marseilles leader and the Star Deck 2 Goku leader, would either of them make your top 5 list? I reckon that certainly the Marseilles would, and in which case, where would you put them? Obviously, you'll have to wait until I do my top 5. So let's get right to it. Well, just go through the 10 leaders here first, though. So you got Pan, Dr. Mew, Majin Buu, Son Goku, Vegito, Android 13, Bardock, Kid, Son Goku, Mira, and Trunks. So at number 5, I've got this Buu. So it has, when this card attacks a leader card, place the top card of your deck under this card. Then if there are 2 or more cards under it, draw 1 card. So pretty much the same as like Vegito and Bardock and the starter deck Goku, in that it's when you attack a leader, draw a card, which is okay. I don't think that's like an amazing ability, but it's not the worst for sure. It's not bad. However, the main reason why this is here is because of its flip side. So when your life is at 4 or less, you may choose up to 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode. Firstly, I think that this is a really good way to awaken. I think it's probably better than drawing 2 in a lot of situations. This game seems fundamentally more tempo based than anything else. So the fact that on your own turn you get to accelerate your game state by untapping 2. You can play another card potentially, or leave your mana up for defensive plays. Like, you can do it in your opponent's turn. So that's all pretty good. Drawing 2 is obviously really good, but I think that in this game, untapping 2 has a quick effect, essentially. It isn't quite a quick effect, but you can do it on your opponent's turn. It's actually pretty good. But when it flips, that's when things get real good. So when it attacks, you place the top card of your deck under it, then draw 1 card, then activate main. You choose 5 cards under this card and place them in the drop area. You then switch this to active mode, and it gains plus 5k for the duration of the turn. So this isn't once per turn, which is why it's on the list, because potentially you can do this 2, maybe even 3 times as part of your push turn. It really depends on the state of the meta game and the deck that your opponent's playing. If you're playing against an aggro deck, it's unlikely that you'll be able to do it 3-4 times. But if you're playing against maybe something that's designed to go a bit longer, more of a controlled deck, or more of a survivalist deck. I don't know if it's appropriate to call Soul Striker Goku variants survivalist decks, but those kind of decks that aren't trying to kill you immediately. They're trying to get past, say, turn 5 and beyond. Any point thereafter will just feed into this really nicely. Like, being able to stand up is no small ability. Vanguard players might remember Dragonic Overlord, the End. That was a powerful old old card that this sort of reminds me of, in that it has an ability to stand itself that isn't once per turn, but is going to be inherently limited to a certain number. So with Dragonic Overlord, the End, it was obviously the amount of other copies that you had in your hand. Well, with this, it's the amount of cards that are under it. What's worth noting as well is that, yeah, you choose 5 under it, but each activation of the effect after the first one essentially costs 4, because when it attacks, you place the top card of your deck under it anyway. Plus you draw a card, so even just the fact that you're standing and getting to draw an extra card is really good. But yeah, each one costs 4, so let's say you have 8 cards under this. You could attack, place a card under it, detach 5, stand, attack, place another one under it, detach 5, stand. So that makes the maths a little easier in terms of thinking about it. Like, if you have 12 under this, then that means that you can use the effect 3 times that turn, which is absolutely insane. You're attacking 4 times with your leader on that turn. So really, really good. It does have a couple of cards that sort of enable it as well. So you have a 1 mana negate. It's just another negate, but instead of untapping one of your mana like Whisa's Coercion does, this one, if your leader is a Boo, you can discard a card, then place an opponent's battle card with energy cost of 3 or less under the Boo. Actually, it's under one of your Boos, so I assume that you can put it under a monster, like a battle card Boo that you control as well. But really, it just fuels this a bit more. Like, that card is really, really good. You'd play it as a 4-off, absolutely, because it not only negates an attack, which really helps against aggro, but you also get to clear another minion off the board. Like, you get to negate 1 attack and kill something else that hasn't attacked. So essentially, it can negate 2 attacks in certain situations, and even if it's just removal, it fuels the late game, which is being able to use this. So Boo make you cookie or something like that. I don't know exactly what its name is, but the cookie negate, that's certainly a 4-of in this deck. Then there's another card as well, the most evil absorption in history. That's another extra. It's a 3 cost. You need 2 blue to activate it, and it just blows something up and puts it under the Majin Buu essentially. So it removes it, but obviously it isn't KOing it. It isn't placing it into the warp. It's placing it under the Buu. Now that one is a bit tricky. I think that people who are enthusiastic about that card are really hyping it. I think the problem with that card is that it isn't really on the same level as something like Energy Boost Beerus, because obviously Energy Boost Beerus has a body. Like, expensive extras really aren't that good unless they have a completely blowout effect, which the most evil absorption in history doesn't have a real blowout effect. It's just pretty good. I think that card is good like the turn before, the turn before you want to push with this. Like, let's say you had 10 cards under this, and you wanted to like 11 cards under this, or 7 cards under this, then the most evil absorption is really good, because it puts the extra card under the boo that you need in order to do the proper amount of attacks. Like, it will put you to 8 so you can use the effect twice, or it will put you to 12 so you can use the effect 3 times. Those are the situations when most of evil absorption in history is pretty clutch. I don't know actually if there's anything else that puts cards under this. We can review it in I don't know, a more general set review or an archetype review, but there certainly is enough stuff to make this good. This is not a bad ability at all. Obviously, you use Encouraging Presence Monarch on it. You'd run that as like a 2 of in this deck, I guess. 2 or 3 copies maybe if you really needed it. And then this guy's good. So I think that this leader is quite understated. Another thing I like about it is that you don't have to play it within an archetype. This isn't really a card that stresses its own archetype too heavily. Obviously, you can play it with the Margin Boo stuff, but the Margin Boo stuff doesn't really need this, and this doesn't really need the Margin Boo stuff by extension. This is just sort of a good leader that can serve as a win condition later on in the game, and that might suit some decks. So Margin Boo, I really like this, and I think that certainly it's one that will be slept on. It isn't the most OP of leaders in this set for sure, but solid, definitely a solid old guy. Then at number 4, we've got your boy Trunks. So I mean, these 2 Xeno leaders are really good. All the Xeno leaders are really good actually. The Bardock one is insane. So when this card attacks, you mill 2. Then if there's a red or blue card in your battle area or drop area, draw 1 card. It's absolutely insane. Like, it isn't even, you know, like the Marseilles, whether or not it gets the effect depends on what you mill each time. With this, it isn't like that at all. It's just like you just need 1 red or blue card in your grave for the whole game, and then you'll be drawing a card. So good. And in your battle area as well. Insane. So this is just like an upgrade on, you know, when this card attacks a leader card, draw 1 card. This is just an upgrade. Like, when it attacks anything, it will draw a card. So absolutely nuts on the boy Trunks. Then when your life is at 4 or less, you may choose up to 1 card in your warp and add it to your hand and flip this card over. Now, this is not as good as drawing 2, and it's not as good as untapping 2, but it's still pretty good. Especially the fact that you get to choose the card that's in your warp. You know, sometimes drawing 2, like, yeah, there's the numerical advantage there, but you are going in blind. While this, you know, you get to pick the card you want. It's not bad. So then when it flips, you get to Super Saiyan Trunks, Protector of Time. So when it, no, not even when it attacks. So once per turn you can mill 2. And when it attacks, you draw a card. Then you may choose 5 cards in your drop area and send them to your warp. If you do, this gains plus 5k and double strike for the duration of the turn. So pretty good. The fact that that it can ramp itself up by 5,000 and give it double strike for, you know, fairly easily. You just banish 5 from your grave. By that stage, it won't be too difficult to do. It's good. Makes it a bit of a pressure leader. Like, with its ability, there's a couple nice things about it, I guess. Firstly, the fact that, like, you could play this Trunks without any of the Overrealm stuff. So it would maybe like red blue Xeno Trunks leader, or I don't know, mono blue, mono red, however you want to play it. But you could go that way and the leader would still be good. Like, it doesn't need synergy with the Overrealm stuff in order to be good, which isn't the case for Mira. But this can also work with the Overrealm stuff because, like, again, similar to the Majin Buu, how you know, it's choose 5 under it, but when it attacks, you place 1 under it, so it really costs 4. With this, it's sort of the same in that, yeah, you banish 5, but you can mill 2 once per turn, so it really costs 3. So you can do that, banish 5 from your drop to get this, and then use Overrealm afterwards, because you aren't banishing your whole grave necessarily. So I mean, this Trunks is just really flexible in that regard, and for that reason, I think that it's a pretty good leader. Like this bit, you know, just being able to draw every time is really good. It's a Saiyan, which probably helps with some things. There's probably some cards that benefits from Saiyan leader. That doesn't have to be color specific. So I mean, this is just a good card, really. I prefer it to say like Vegito from this set, which is quite comparable in terms of, you know, you're giving yourself more power and double strike and stuff like that. But Vegito's is a lot more conditional. Plus, like this front bit is just so good. So I'd say don't sleep on this Trunks. He'll definitely pop up just because red and blue is they're both already strong colors. There'll certainly be a way to make this work. The only question is whether it turns out more mid-rangey or more tempo based, sort of like the other Trunks. We'll have to wait and see, but I reckon that this leader will do fine. Then we go on to the more obvious ones. So at number 3, I've got your girl Pan. So you know, if you know about stuff from this set, then you'll probably know about the subsequent leaders. I don't think it will be too much of a surprise to anyone, but this pan, maybe this pan being at number 3 is a bit of a surprise, I guess. So for those who don't know though, its effects are auto once per turn. When you play a battle card, choose that card against plus 5k for the duration of the turn. Then if its power is 20k or more, draw 1 card. So the only thing to note with that is that it isn't optional, so it will always boost the first thing that you play. So just be wary of that. If you're playing this deck, be sure to order them correctly, and if you're playing against someone who summons something and then doesn't ramp it, just tell them like, hey, you gotta ramp that, bro. Then when your life is at 4 or less, you may choose 2 of your energy, switch them to active, and flip this card over. So again, the good awaken. I think that this sort of awaken style certainly suits an aggro leader, because untapping 2 means that you get to chuck another body on board. Really strong. And then its effect is just the same when it's flipped over, except it gets the when this card attacks, draw 1 card as well. So this pan is pretty good. Quite contrary to Boo in that this does benefit from archetypal synergies. It does help archetypally synergistic decks. So there's a lot of, you know, like the GT gang, I guess. You've got the Goku GT stuff, you've got the Trunks GT stuff, you've got Pan GT stuff, and I mean there's the Super Combo Giru, but I'm not sure that's too relevant of a distinction between that and Vados. They all sort of benefit from giving each other power, and it's just this aggro-y red archetype, which is all pretty good. I mean, I imagine it'd be fun to play, pretty like combo based, and you're all helping each other out, giving each other boosts. And this pan is sort of the main one for that. There's a new card released in this set as well, the red negate. So 1 mana negate, then you give a red Saiyan leader plus 5k for the duration of the turn. So it's sort of like Senzu being mixed into a negate. Very strong, particularly in like aggro mirrors where you know, you ramping your leader by plus 5k is really super relevant, and it gives mono red the ability to do that. Like, you don't have to tech blue in order to play Senzu Bean in order to gain that defense. Like, Pan really is most likely going to be the leader to benefit from that synergy and those types of synergies. I mean, you have like Margin Vegeta, you have Red Goku, you have Red Vegito. They'll all benefit from it as well. But this pan will definitely see play. Just the fact that I mean, it puts pressure immediately. Like, no matter what 1-drop you play, turn 1, like, it will be 5k, so then Pan will make it 10k obviously. That's two 10ks in turn 1. It's good pressure. So yeah, Pan will most definitely see play. It'll just be interesting to see how exactly that manifests, but they've got so many options, so that should be good. Then at number 2 I've got the Boy Mira. This is probably my favorite leader from the set, to be honest. I really like this guy. I think he's proper sweet. So when it attacks, you mill 2, same as the Trunks, except you need a green or yellow card in your battle area or drop area to draw 1, rather than red or blue. So immediately this this sort of indicates synergy. So this is an android. It's an android leader, which does have some relevance. I think there are at least a couple cards, but the fact that this one's green as well, it does sort of mean that this card is tailor-made to interact with green. Now green have a lot of different engines, a lot of different synergies, so you could play a hypothetical green-black deck in a number of different ways. You could play it prioritizing the Saiyans more, so there's a 1-drop in green now, a Trunks 5k, you look at the top 2, and if it's a Saiyan, add it to your hand. Conversely, there's now a 1-drop for androids as well, another Dr. Gero. When you play it, look at the top 3, if it's an android, add it to your hand. So it's gonna go in one of those 2 directions. Either you're going to be building it more around the Saiyans, in which case there's lots of stuff that you'd be running. You've got the Dark Demons villains Marseilles and the Dark Demons villains Trunks as just really good cards that are black Saiyans. Conversely, if you run the Android side of things, you could you could run more Mira, because Mira, even as a battle card, it'd be an Android as well. So it can go either way. But no matter how you build it, green black is really well, it's there. There's just so much stuff that you can do with it. The synergy really is there, and that's before I've even talked about its flip side. Its flip side is really good. So permanent, if your warp has 5 cards or more in it, this card gains critical. Just the fact that it gets permanent critical is, you know, really understated in my opinion. Like, leaders thrive just from being able to give themselves critical. Like, the fact that Blue Vegeta has been a mainstay throughout the entirety of the game is just a testament to how good giving yourself critical is. Now obviously Vegeta's ability to self-awaken was very strong, certainly in the earlier sets, but I think that with the increased impetus on aggro, it isn't going to be as favorable to deal damage to yourself in order to gain just one ability like critical. Certainly not when there are leaders that will just be able to achieve critical easier, like Marseilles, or just have it anyway. And I think Mira and Marseilles will sort of mark the phasing out of Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. But that's not to say that all leaders that get critical do that. There are other leaders, even in the set, that get critical. None of them really compare to Mira. The fact that it's just permanent, it's so good. So good. There are loads of ways that you could build this as such, because critical just applies so much pressure. It means that you're attacking their leader every turn. They have to block it pretty much every turn, or else they'll go down on cards. So you can build it, you know, a number of different ways. You could build it around the cell chain, in which case crit mirror leader plus cell chain, that's insane. It's like if Vegeta were able to play the cell chain, except even better, because you're not having to tap your own life in order to do it. You can build this with just all the green good stuff. So you know, like Khalifa, Kale, Kaba, that engine. Now you've got all the Saiyans. Again, really, really good. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of possibility with this. Um, like you don't even need to splash yellow. You could just like you can build it however you want. Like that's the nice thing about this and Trunks is that they really aren't restrictive at all. Again, all you need is one of either color in your field or your grave, and you're drawing one for the rest of the game pretty much. So you don't have to build them within the colors that they specify. However, Mira, certainly being an android, leans it a lot more towards green anyway. And the fact, just this flip effect really does open up a lot. Just the fact that it's always going to have critical. I mean, it does mean that you have to play some overwhelm cards in order to be able to accommodate the flip, but that's not it's not a tall order because the overwhelm cards are really, really good. So again, lots of potential with your boy Mira. So good. And I'd honestly, like, if this were my personal list, I'd probably put him at number one. The only reason why I don't is because I think that the next leader opens up a lot more different kinds of decks than this does. But I think that the impact of this will be quite significant and is quite understated compared to Pan, in my opinion. I don't think Mira is something that everyone's thinking about. And then the final one, you could see it coming from a long time away. That number one is a long time away, a long way away. My number one is Blue Son Goku from, from Crossworlds. So, for those of you who already know about it, I'm not going to say anything that you don't already know, really. For those who don't know about it, though, this card is sick. So, permanent, you can only place up to 6 energy. Obviously, that's pretty peak. And then, so on its front side, its ability, its only ability, really, is that if you have no energy, you can place 1 card from your hand in the drop area, and then choose 2 cards in your life and add them to your energy. So for the first turn of the game, you're not going to charge. You're going to go to your main, you're going to activate this, you're going to discard a card, place 2 cards from your life into your energy. So you're not really losing advantage as such, because the card that you charge, like, that's just a neg anyway. So instead of charging that card, you're discarding it, if you think about it. Then the 2 cards that were in your life are now in your energy. So you start with 1 extra energy but 2 less life, pretty much. Plus your leader does nothing until it awakens. But when it does awaken, like, really, really good. So at the end of the turn, choose up to 3 of your energy and switch them to active mode. Absolutely insane. Really, really good. Just opens up so many possibilities. It means that you can play on the front foot, which you can't really in this game. You have to leave mana open. Now with this deck, just, chuck them out, have fun, have a good time. So really, really good. But what's even more good about it is that neither effect specifies what color the energy has to be. So you don't even have to play this with any blue cards in your deck at all. Now, you probably would run some blue just because this is a blue leader, so your super combos, unyielding spirit trunks, just, things that specify the blue leader, you might very well end up playing them. But let's say the rest of the cards in your deck aren't blue. There's nothing wrong with that necessarily. You can absolutely do that. So this opens up just so many different deck building avenues, I think. Like, firstly, obviously there's the ramp route. So there's another ramp card that's introduced in this set. It's just a mana dock. It's like a 2 mana 5k Kai that has barrier, and you can tap it to pay an energy cost instead of tapping your energy. Now, cards like that exist in Magic, but what makes them better in this game is that this game doesn't have summoning sickness, so you can tap it straight away. Really, really good, and it bypasses this, you know, you can only place up to 6 energy clause. So, because of that, quite consistently on turn 2, you'll have a way to accelerate your mana, either through objection or that mana dork. Like turn 1 with this deck, you'll get the 2 energy, play 1 into them. Great. You can absolutely go down the ramp route if you so desire. Conversely, you could go the opposite way and go aggro. Just you know, the fact that you're starting with an extra energy. Let's say you went like mono red or something like that. You know, you're starting placing your 2 energy. Like red have a really good suite of 1-drops now. You have Saiyan Kaba, you have the starter deck 1-drop Pan that draws you a card after you combo with it. So after you combo with it from the field, so you'll play it for 1. I think it gives something 5k as well when it's played. So you give something 5k, swing, combo with the Pan, draw a card. So it's comparable to like Energy Boosted Boo and Youthful Bulma. Like you can have very fast-paced early turns just because of, you know, the abundance of early drops that are in this game's entirety, and this isn't really color restricted in terms of what you can build with it. So you know, this one is the one that is receiving the hype. I think that this and Pan are receiving the most hype, and I think that in the case of Pan, it's certainly warranted because Pan will see play, but I don't think that there's a vast breadth of ways that Pan can be used. It's either going to be used aggro red or in her own sort of archetype. I don't think it'll expand to like Pan control. I mean, it could do, just because you know, like if you're playing a Jiren, buffing it by 5k and drawing 1, that's good. So you might find Pan mid ranges, but I think that Pan is a lot more self-contained than the 2 that I placed above it. Goku, yeah, everyone knows about it, but I think that we don't know how the best Goku decks are going to look yet. So for that reason, I sort of have Goku as number 1. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out, but it definitely will be played out because the card is sick. So yeah, that's my top 5 leaders. Again, as I said at the start, I'll go through these 2 actually, and let me know if you would include them in the top 5, and if so, where you would put them. So we'll start with the Marseilles. So once per turn, you mill 3. If you place a black card in the drop area with this skill, this card gains critical for the duration of the turn, and if a card of any other color is placed in the drop area, this card gains plus 5k for the duration of the turn. Absolutely insane, incredible card. It has the same ability on the back, but you know what? that's perfectly okay. You draw 2 when you awaken with this as well. It's pretty interesting that they didn't give it the warp adding, but you know, not gonna complain about drawing 2 rather than that. And the other leader is starter deck red Son Goku. So when it attacks a leader, draw 1 card. It awakens by doing the energy switch, which again is pretty good, particularly in red if you're aggroing. So when you flip it, during your turn when your life is at 3 or less, it gains plus 5k. And when it attacks, draw 1 card, and if this card's power is 25,000 or more, it gains double strike. So clearly meant to be within its own archetype. It will need those sorts of synergies, to be honest, in order to thrive, but still not bad at all. So yeah, would you have this in your top 5 Would you have the boy Marseille in the top 5? If so, where would they be? I definitely have Marseille in my top 5, but as to where, that's a bit, it's a bit trickier. Certainly would be in there though. Sorry, Boo, I love you, but you'd probably have to get the drop. Um, but yeah, that's everything from me. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.